Back again, finally. I haven't posted a video in about a month, and if you watched my last one, you know that I was in a terrible reading slump that I just couldn't seem to break through. I have read almost nothing in the last 2 months. I read a book that was about 220 pages long, and I read 3 or maybe 4 other items that were under 100 pages, and that's it. And I tried a lot of different books trying to get through that slump, and I was just not able to, I just wasn't able to read anything. Well, I finally was able to break through that slump thanks to Scott over at Shelfware. He was getting rid of this copy of The Stand, and he asked me if I wanted it, and I said absolutely, so he sent it to me. Thank you very much, Scott. It turned out to be just what I needed. I got it in the mail. I liked it so much. I really like it without the dust jacket. It's just very simple, just this sort of very simple design that I really liked. A little good and evil character right here, the Stephen King signature, and red, which is my favorite color. And I just was so impressed with this book. I cleaned it up a little bit, and then I thought, well, I'm just going to read a couple of pages. I sat down, read 220 pages. So yeah, I'm making progress on The Stand, and I'm really, really enjoying it. And thank you again, Scott, for sending this to me. You saved me. Let's see, I'll set that right there. And I did accumulate some other books in the last couple of months. Actually, I don't know when I did my last book haul. I think I did my last book haul in July. So these would be the books that I've accumulated since July. The first books I want to show you came in my Box Wallet subscription. That's a subscription box that you get every other month, and they have 2 books that they've selected that are kind of hidden gem type of books. They're always paperback, and they're from all over the world, and so you get a lot of translated items. The first book I got in that box is called Garden by the Sea by Merce Rodera, and it is a Spanish novel. Who is the translator? I'm sorry, I forgot to refresh myself on these books before I started this video. Oh, translated by Maroxa Rolano and Martha Tennant. So those are the translators on this book. But it's about some rich people who are spending their summers by the sea. Apparently it takes place over about 6 years, and it's being told through the perspective of the gardener. And apparently something, perhaps some murder, I couldn't decipher from the back, maybe a murder happens or something darker and more underhanded happens that's precipitated by a larger villa being constructed next door to this one. So I thought that sounded like it might be an interesting read. The next one is Erasure by Percival Everett, and its translator is... There's no translator listed. Well, he must have translated this himself because there's no translator listed. But anyway, this is about a writer who is having trouble writing. And so I thought it sounded like it might be a little bit interesting. I actually don't know if I'll read this one because it seems like it's more of a family drama type novel as opposed to a mystery or something that I might be a little more interested in. So I don't know. I might end up giving this book away. Haven't really decided. I'll give it a try sometime. And then in Box Wallet, they always send you like one more item that's not a book. And in this month's box, they sent out a record. Mississippi John Hurt. It's a best of album. And it is some old blues, like he's from the early 1900s. I looked him up. I don't remember the information, but I think it was like around the 1920s perhaps. But yeah, I don't have a record player. I haven't had a record player since I was in elementary school. So this is essentially wasted on me. Although I really would like to listen to it. I actually do like old blues and jazz and things like that. I don't listen to it that much, but occasionally I find some on my Slacker radio when I fire it up. So I have actually considered buying a record player just to listen to that. Plus, it's been a long time since I've heard anything on vinyl. I had a lot of vinyl albums when I was a kid, but they were all stolen. I don't know when. They just disappeared, and I'm pretty sure they were stolen. But anyway, so the next books I got were Occupy Space by Grady Hendrix. I was really, really impressed with Grady Hendrix' 3 novels, The Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires, My Best Friend's Exorcism, and We Sold Our Souls. All 3 really, really good books, and I really liked his writing style, so I thought I would get all of the rest of the novels and short stories and novellas that he has written, and this was one of them. I ended up not liking this. I thought it was going to be science fiction. It's really not science fiction, but it is sort of on the skirt tails of science fiction. It's about this small town of Southerners who decide to build a rocket and send a retired astronaut who never did go to space into space. So it was kind of an interesting, the concept was interesting, but I overall I didn't really care for it. It wasn't really my thing. I think I gave it like 2 stars. Oh, and this book too, I almost forgot, called Thrice Upon a Time by James P. Hogan. This was also sent to me by Scott over at Shelfware. He sent it to me with the Stephen King novel, and I'm really looking forward to this. Apparently it takes place in Scotland, and it is about, let me see, a man who discovers a way back into time, I believe is what it was. Let's see. Oh, it takes place in a Scottish castle. Sir Charles, a genius in far-out physics, had found a flaw in the new laws of conservation of energy. In any process, an incredibly tiny increment of energy escaped back through time. Using this tau radiation, he could send messages into the past. Oh, okay, right, now I remember. I thought that sounded really good, so I am looking forward to giving this book a try. I'll probably be doing that soon also. Okay. The next book I got was Smoke Gets in Your Eyes by Caitlin Doty. She is actually a YouTuber, and her channel is called Ask a Mortician. If you've never seen her channel, I would highly recommend it. It's a more unique channel, at least from what I've seen. She is a mortician, and she talks about death and all the things related to death. And she also has quite a bit of history in there as well, which I really personally enjoy. But this is her memoir, and my mother gave this to me. My mother also loves Caitlin Doty, and my mother did not want the book. She wasn't enjoying it when she was reading it, and so I had planned to purchase it for myself. So now I don't have to, so thank you, Mom. And then I received my Book of the Month Club books. The book of the month that I chose was The Space Between Worlds by Micaiah Johnson. And this is based on multiverses. There's a group of people who can travel from universe to universe, and I believe what they're doing is collecting resources. This is one of the books I started during my reading slump. I got about 23 pages in, and I really did enjoy what I was reading, but I couldn't go back to it because of my slump. So I do plan to read this pretty soon. I really liked what I read so far. The next book that I got from Book of the Month Club was No Exit by Taylor Adams, which is a thriller, and I'm just going to read you the back because it's really short. 13 hours, 4 strangers, 1 missing child. No exit. She knows her odds. She'll fight anyway. So the idea is that that they're stuck on an interstate, and one of the people in the group is a killer. So I thought it sounded really good. So I'm looking forward to reading that at some point. Might take me a while to get to that one though. I have plans for a lot of other books before I get there. And then the final Book of the Month Club book that I got was The Martian by Andy Weir. And I did watch the movie. I absolutely loved the movie. And so I thought I really wanted to read the book. So one of these days I'll get to this book. Let's see. And then I got The Demon in the Freezer by Richard Preston. My book friend Sandy sent this to me. We're going to buddy read this at some point. Unfortunately, she sent this right at the beginning of my book slump, my reading slump. So I wasn't even able to finish the book that we were reading together at that time, which is another Richard Preston novel, which is called Crisis in the Red Zone. Still haven't finished that. Sorry, Sandy. But Sandy forgives me. She understands. But anyway, she sent me this book, so we're going to read this together hopefully sometime soon. And so thank you for this book, Sandy. She knows I'm a huge Richard Preston fan. The next book I got was The Essential Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. The editor of this book was Leonard Wolfe, and he has gone through the text of this and annotated it. So I'm really looking forward to what he has to say about this book. Mary Shelley's Frankenstein is one of my favorite books of all time. The original version that was published in 1918, not the later version that she revised. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to reading this again, only with this gentleman's annotations. I'm really curious about that. I've never really read this new of a novel. I mean, I know this is an old novel as well, but usually if it's annotated and has notes, it's really old, like, you know, ancient Greece or something really old, you know, Dark Ages, you know, that type of a thing. So, so yeah, I've never read anything annotated that was this new. So I am looking forward to that. Another book I bought was Too Much and Never Enough by Mary L. Trump. I don't normally go for this kind of book. I don't really approve of digging up dirt on people. I usually ignore any kind of media news about, you know, that's essentially saying derogatory things about people, no matter what side of which fence it is. I don't care. I just don't want to hear people slandering each other. I don't go for that. However, even though it's probably in poor taste like all the rest of it, I'm hoping that this Mary L. Trump, who is Donald Trump's niece, actually will have some insight and have something to contribute to my view of what's going on with Trump's presidency. That's what I'm hoping. I'm not counting on that. It's probably just another slam book, but you know, we'll see. And I really am kind of excited to read it just to find out. So there is an element of me, which I'm ashamed to say, is kind of interested in all the dirt on Trump. I don't know why. I hate admitting to that, but if it's true, it's true. The next book I got was 4 complete Mark Twain novels in 1 volume. This has The Adventures of Tom Sawyer, The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn, The Prince and the Pauper, A Connecticut Yankee in King Arthur's Court, and some short stories. And I have read all those. However, I read them all when I was in junior high. Maybe I read some of those in elementary school. I can't really remember. And I do have copies of all those books in my storage unit, but it just seemed really appealing to me to have these in 1 volume. And the volumes that I have were actually for like a child almost. You know, they're like paperbacks, and the artwork and stuff on them were more appealing to a younger audience, you know, 5th, 6th grade, right in there. So yeah, I might just get rid of those other books that I have and then just keep this edition. So I was really pleased to find this. I actually saw somebody on Goodreads had put that they were reading it, and that's what got me interested in this book. So I found a used copy, and I'm quite pleased with it. It turned out it's in excellent condition. The next book I got was Something in the Blood, The Untold Story of Bram Stoker, the man who wrote Dracula. So this is a biographical work, or I'm assuming it's a biographical work, on Bram Stoker. And I'm really, really looking forward to that because I absolutely love Dracula. And I have several Dracula novels that surround Dracula. And I do plan to reading those back to back here sometime soon. And I'm going to include this one in that mix. So really looking forward to that. And then, because I am doing, I plan to read the Dark Tower series by Stephen King. There were some other books that he wrote that were related to that series. So I started purchasing them. The first one is a collection of short stories called Everything's Eventual, and it has 14 dark tales. Woo! So I'm looking forward to that one. And then I got Insomnia by Stephen King. I've not heard good things about this, but the premise of it sounds really good to me. So I'm probably going to read this one first, after The Stand, of course, because it really sounds like it's good to me. I'm just going to read you a little bit of the synopsis in the back. Ralph Roberts never expected to live out his remaining golden years mourning the death of his beloved wife. He also never expected to begin suffering from chronic insomnia for the first time in his life. Each night he wakes up a little bit earlier until he's barely sleeping at all. During his overnight walks, he's now observing some strange things going on here in Derry, Maine. Ooh, Derry, that's the same town that It took place. And they're more than sleep-deprived hallucinations. There's definitely a mean streak that's always been running through this small New England city underneath its ordinary surface. Awesome and terrifying forces are at work. The dying has been going on in Derry for a long, long time, and Ralph Roberts will soon find that lack of sleep are the least of his worries. So it kind of sounds a little bit like Thinner. You know, in Thinner, the man kept losing weight no matter how much he ate. And this guy just keeps losing sleep until he can't sleep at all. So, yeah, I thought that sounded really interesting. I like that premise. And then the other Stephen King book I got for my countdown to the Dark Tower series was The Regulators, which he wrote as Richard Bachman. And this one, I don't even remember what this one is about. It's a gorgeous midsummer afternoon on Poplar Street in the peaceful suburbia of Wentworth, Ohio, where life is as pleasant as you ever dreamed it could be. But that's all about to end in a blaze of gunfire and sudden violence, forever shattering the tranquility of the good times here. Okay, so yeah. So I believe this has a little Western bent to it, especially since it has the rope and the hat on the front cover. I'm not looking forward to reading this one as much as I am Insomnia, but I still want to read it because it does tie into the Dark Tower series. Okay, so those are all of the books that I got. Oh, I almost forgot. I've got one more book on the way. It's supposed to be delivered tomorrow. It is the Hunger Games prequel called, let's see, The Ballad of Songbirds and something or whatever. I'll put the cover on the screen here. And I've never read The Hunger Games. I have seen the movies, but I never read the books. Absolutely loved the movies. Don't have any desire to read the books, but I am interested in reading that prequel. So also thought it would be interesting for me to read that prequel, having never read the books before. So I have that on the way. And then last but not least, not a book, but I did buy a new Kindle, which I'm really excited about. I hardly ever read anything on Kindle anymore. For about 3 years, I was reading almost everything on Kindle. Now I read almost nothing on Kindle, hardly ever, but I do read a lot of short stories. So those are on Kindle. I like those Tor.com stories. But anyway, yeah, this is the new one. It's waterproof for 1 hour and up to, I think it's 1,000 feet. And I bought this because, you know, in the summertime, when I'm in my pool, I can't read. I always have to do audiobooks. And I just thought it might be nice if I was on my floaty and had a Kindle that I felt safe about taking into the pool with me, like just in case I dropped it. So I bought this one and I'm very excited. And it's got pink on the back. Pink. I would have actually preferred white, but you know, pink works too. Okay, so that is all of the news and books for the last month. And yeah, that's all I've got to say about this one.